Hi, we're back for some more of Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. Here's Peter, here's Fudge, his little brother, and we're right in the middle of Fudge's third birthday party. Peter has been asked to stay behind and help. Okay. They're just serving the birthday cake. When he had finished blowing out the candles, he reached out and grabbed a rose off his cake. He shoved it into his mouth. "Oh, Fudge," my mother said, "look what you did." But Grandma said, "It's his birthday. He can do whatever he wants." So Fudge reached over and grabbed a second rose. I guess Fat Ralph couldn't stand seeing Fudge eat those yellow roses, because then he grabbed one too, and by that time the cake looked pretty messy. My mother, finally coming to her senses, took the cake away and sliced it up. Each kid got a Dixie cup, a small piece of cake, and some milk. But Jeannie hollered, "Where's my rose? Want one too?" because her slice of birthday cake didn't happen to have one. My mother explained that the roses were only decorations and there weren't enough to go around. Jeannie seemed to accept that, but when my grandma stood over her to help her open her Dixie cup, Jeannie bit her on the hand. "Ow, she bit me," Grandma cried. "Did it break the skin?" my mother asked. "No, I don't think so," Grandma said, checking. "Good, then it's nothing to worry about," my mother told her. Grandma went into the bathroom to put on some medicine. Anyway, she wasn't taking any chances. Ralph was the first one to finish his food. "More, more, more," he sang, holding up his empty plate. "I don't think you should give him any more," I whispered to my mother. "Look how fat he is now." "Oh, Peter, this is a party. Let him eat whatever he wants." "Okay," I said. "Why should I care how fat he gets?" My mother served Ralph a second piece of cake, and he threw up right after he finished it. Me and Grandma took the kids into the living room while my mother cleaned up the mess. Grandma told Fudge he could open his presents while his friends watched. Jeannie brought him a musical jack-in-the-box. When you turn the handle around, it plays "Pop Goes the Weasel." And when you reach the part of the song about Pop, the toy opens and a funny clown jumps up. Fudge loved it. He clapped his hands and laughed and laughed. But Sam started to scream, "No, no more, take it away!" And he hid his face in his hands and wouldn't look up until Grandma promised to put the jack-in-the-box in another room. Fudge opened Ralph's present next. It was a little wind-up car that ran all over the floor. I kind of liked it myself. So did Ralph, because he grabbed it away from Fudge and said, "Mine." "No," Fudge shouted, "mine." When my mother heard the racket, she ran in from the kitchen. She explained to Ralph that he had brought the car to Fudge because it was his birthday. But Fudge wouldn't listen. I guess my mother was afraid he might throw up again, and this time on the living room rug. So she begged Fudge to let Ralph play with the car just for a few minutes. But Ralph kept screaming. It was his car, so Fudge started to cry. Finally, my mother took the car away and said, "Let's see what Sam brought you." Fudge liked that idea. He forgot about the little car as he ripped the paper and ribbon off Sam's package. It turned out to be a big picture dictionary, the same kind the Yarbies had brought me a couple of months ago. Fudge got mad when he saw it. "No!" he yelled. "No more book!" And he threw it across the room. "Fudge, that's terrible," my mother said. "You mustn't do that to the nice book." "No book," Fudge said. And Sam cried. "He doesn't like it. He don't like my present. I want to go home. I want to go home." Grandma tried to comfort Sam while my mother picked up the book. She gathered the wrapping paper and the ribbons and cards together. Fudge didn't even look at any of the birthday cards. Oh well, he can't read, so I guess it doesn't make any difference. "Peter," my mother said, "let's start the games. Now, quick." I checked the time. I hoped the party was almost over. No, it was only 1:30. Still an hour to go. I went into my room where I had blown up a lot of balloons. My mother has this party book and it says that 3-year-olds like to dance around with balloons. When I got back to the living room, Mum started the music and I handed each kid a balloon. But they were just looking at me. I thought, well, either the guy who wrote that party book is crazy or I am. Oh, show them how, Peter, my mother said. Take a balloon and demonstrate. I felt like one of the world's greatest living fools, dancing around with a balloon, but it worked. As soon as the kids saw me doing it, they started dancing too. And the more they danced, the more they liked it. Until Jeannie's balloon popped. That nearly scared Sam right out of his mind. He started yelling and crying. Fortunately, I had blown up about 24 balloons. I was hoping they'd dance around for the rest of the afternoon. Then Fudge got the idea of jumping up and down on the furniture. The others liked that too. So instead of dancing with their balloons, that's what they did. And soon they were running from room to room, yelling and laughing and having a great time. Then the doorbell rang. It was Mrs. Rudder. She lives in the apartment right under us. She wanted to know what was going on. She said it sounded like her ceiling was about to crash in on her any second. My mother explained that Fudge was having a little birthday party. Wouldn't she like to stay for a piece of cake? Sometimes my mother is really clever. So while Grandma entertained Mrs. Rudder in the kitchen, and then Fudge and his buddies jumped up and down on his new bed. It was delivered this morning. Fudge hasn't even slept in it yet. So naturally, when my mother found out what they were up to, she was mad. "Stop it right now," she said. "New bed, big boy," Fudge told her. Was he proud? "Oh, you won't have a new big boy bed for long if you don't stop jumping on it," my mother told him. "I know. Let's all sit down on the floor and hear a nice story." My mother selected a picture book from Fudge's bookshelf. "I heard that one," Jeannie said when she saw the cover. "All right," my mother told her. "Let's hear this one." And she held up another book. "I heard that one too," Jeannie said. I think my mother was starting to lose her patience, but she chose a third book and said, "We'll all enjoy this one, even if we know it by heart. And if we do know it by heart, well, we can say it together." And that's just what Jeannie did. And when my mom skipped a page by mistake, Jeannie was right there to remind her. If you ask me, my mother felt like biting Jeannie by that time. When the story was over, it was 2:00, and Ralph was sound asleep on the floor. My mother told me to put him up on Fudge's new bed while she took the rest of the children back to the living room. I tried and tried, but I couldn't lift Ralph. He must weigh a ton. So I left him sleeping on Fudge's floor and closed the door so he wouldn't hear any noise. On my way back to the living room, I wished the others would fall asleep too. "Peter," my mother suggested, "why don't you show them Dribble?" "Oh, Mom, Dribble's my pet." You don't go around using a pet to entertain a bunch of little kids. Didn't my mother know that? "Please, Peter," my mother said. "We've still got half an hour left and I don't know what to do with them anymore." "Dribble," Fudge hollered. "Dribble, dribble, dribble." I guess Sam and Jeannie liked the way that sounded because they started to shout, "Dribble, dribble, dribble," even though they didn't know what they were talking about. "Oh, all right," I said. "I'll show you Dribble, but you got to promise to be very quiet. You mustn't make a sound or you might scare him, okay?" They all said, "Okay," and my mother went into the kitchen to chat with Grandma and Mrs. Rudder. I went into my room and came back with Dribble in his bowl. I put my finger over my lips to remind Fudge and his friends to be quiet. It worked. Well, at first, nobody said a word. I put Dribble down on the table. Fudge and Sam and Jeannie stood over his bowl. "Oh, turtle," Jeannie said. "Yes, Dribble's a turtle, my turtle," I said in a soft voice. "See, Fudge whispered. "They can all see," I told Fudge. "Nice turtle," Sam said. I wondered why he wasn't afraid this time. "What does Dribble do?" Jeannie asked. "Do? Well, he doesn't do anything special," I said. He's a turtle. He does turtle things." "Like what?" Jeannie asked. What was with this kid anyway? Well, I said, he swims around a little, sleeps on his rock and eats. Does he make? Jeanie asked. Make, I said. Make a tinkle? Oh, that. Well, sure, I guess so. Jeanie laughed. So did Sam and Fudge. I make tinkles too. Want to see? Jeanie asked. No, I said. See, Fudge laughed, pointing at Jeanie. Jeanie had a big smile on her face, and next thing I knew, there was a puddle on the rug. Mom, I hollered, come quick. My mother dashed in from the kitchen. What, Peter, what is it? Just look at what Jeanie did, I said. What is that? My mother asked, eyeing the puddle. She peed on the floor, I said, and on purpose. Oh, Jeanie, my mother said, you didn't. Did too, Jeanie said. That was very naughty, my mother told her. You come with me. She scooped up Jeanie and carried her into the bathroom. After that, Mom mopped up the puddle. Finally, the doorbell rang. It was 2:30. The party was over. I could hardly believe it. I was beginning to think it would never end. First, Ralph's mother came. She had to wake him up to get him out of the apartment. I guess even she couldn't carry him. Next, Jeanie's mother came. Mom gave her Jeanie's wet pants in a bag. That was about all she had to do because Jeanie's mother was plenty embarrassed. Sam's mother came last. He didn't want to go home. Now that he was used to us, I guess he liked us. He cried, more party, more! Another time, his mother said, dragging him out of our apartment by the arm. My mother flopped down in a chair. Grandma brought her 2 aspirins and a glass of water. Here, dear, she said, maybe these will help. My mother swallowed the pills and she held her head. 3 is kind of young for a party, I told my mother. Peter Warren Hatcher, my mother began. Yes, I asked. You are absolutely right. I flopped down next to my mother. She put her arm around me. Then we both watched Fudge work his new jack-in-the-box. Later, when my father came home, he said, how did Fudge's party go? My mother and I looked at each other. We laughed. Okay, I'm going to stop there for today. The next chapter, which I'll read to you tomorrow, is called Fang. That's what he calls his brother. Fang hits town. So, yeah, they're off to the dentist in the middle of New York City. Yeah, it won't go well. You can guarantee if Fudge is involved, it won't go well. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye.